So 2 years ago I took a little walk along here, along the railway lines in Hanoi and shot a video. 2 years later I come back and the whole place has been transformed. There are tourists everywhere. There'd be a dozen cafes, railway themed cafes have opened. It's a real testimony to the Vietnamese entrepreneurial spirit. This is probably now one of the most visited tourism destinations in Hanoi. Here's Train Street back in 2017. Not a tourist in sight. A storm over here for tonight. This is the main railway line that runs through the centre of Hanoi. And this city, the footpaths are so congested and often invaded by motorbikes, other junk, that this is probably one of the few cities in the world where you can say that it's safer to walk along the railway tracks than it is to walk along the streets. And the sort of activity that you can see before me here would indicate that these people find it a pretty safe and pleasant place to hang out. Không nói được tiếng nước ngoài à?
Bao nhiêu tuổi rồi?
Sao anh?
Năm nay bao nhiêu tuổi rồi?
52. Oh, really? You could call it the tourism destination that Instagram and YouTube created. But I wonder what it is that travellers find so special here. Sure, it's very photogenic. It's unique too. There aren't many cities where you can loiter around an operating railway line. A lot of people just like being around trains, as I do. And it still feels uniquely Hanoi. But one of the best things about Hanoi is that its streets are full of incredible scenes everywhere. Just wandering the streets of Hanoi is one of the highlights of being in this city. While most of these locals are probably happy with the economic windfall the tourist boom is bringing, some must be bewildered by the sudden change and the sudden interest in their little patch of Hanoi life. The walk here reminds me of another remarkable thing about the Vietnamese people, and that's their ability to absorb and adapt to change. Whether you're talking about the extraordinary hardship of the war years, or the extraordinary changes I've seen over 3 decades, or the incredible changes that happen just in little communities like this one. And a lot of these changes are off the back of tourism development. This woman, Dung, was one of the first to spot the opportunity at Train Street. She's decked out her family home as a cafe with real rail furnishings. She even stocks Hanoi's homegrown craft beer. Nhưng mà hơi trước mọi người là ở đây mới dân ở đây cũng làm nhà nước. I always love talking to the elderly at places like this, and that's where I usually learn a lot as well. Cô làm chân cầu Long Biên hả? This wonderful woman told me that these houses are all occupied by the staff or former staff of Vietnam Railways. It makes sense. Ồ, thế lúc đấy cũng bị rất nguy hiểm đúng không?
Lúc đấy cũng bom đạn.
Before her retirement, she also worked on the railways and was part of a team that maintained the iconic Long Biên Bridge. It's a little further along from here. She was working at the bridge during the infamous US bombings of 1972. Long Biên Bridge is another amazing piece of Hanoi life, and it's connected to this railway strip as well. It's definitely worth a visit. It still bears the scars from the US bombings of the 1960s and 70s. And these days it's more a monument to Vietnamese resilience than it is to the French colonials who built it. For more independent travel information and insights on Vietnam, head over to rustycompass.com. You'll also find us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram and on Twitter. Thanks very much.